Right, guys, Manchester City have just beaten Leeds by 3 goals to 1 at Elland Road. Really impressive performance by Man City once again. And to be fair, I thought Leeds, considering the position they found themselves in with 20 minutes to go, they gave it a real go and managed to pull a goal back. So fair play to them. The fans didn't stop all game. I thought I can't remember which pundit it was at half time who said that the Leeds fans hadn't made enough noise. I think that was a very unfair comment. I think the Leeds fans were brilliant throughout the entire game, to be honest. But yes, City, it wasn't the fastest start to the game ever from them. It took a bit of time to get going. They had an early chance through Haaland, but Leeds did get a bit of the ball and a fair bit of... I wouldn't say possession. I think City dominated possession, especially in the first half, but they managed to get the ball in some good areas. They didn't really create many chances, though, was the main problem for them. City did take the lead just before half-time through Rodri. It was a bit of a scrappy goal, Mahrez' shot being saved, and it fell to Rodri, who in the end had the tap-in. Meslier did make quite a few good saves in the first half, denying Haaland on a couple of occasions, as well as I think De Bruyne, I could be wrong there. Gundogan also had a couple of close efforts. Grealish, though, however, was the main talking point at half-time. He did have 3 opportunities where he skied good chances over the bar, and should have scored at the very least one of them, possibly 2. And that does happen occasionally with Grealish. He does have games where he does miss quite a few chances, but I still think Grealish had a good game overall, especially in the second half, because he set up both of the goals, I think, for Haaland. The first one, it was just a bit of a defensive error. I think it was possibly from Liam Cooper. And yeah, it just fell kindly for him, and he squared it to Haaland, who did what Haaland does, and got his 19th and 20th goals of the season in this game. The second one he scored in this game was, another nice 1-2 with Grealish and a good finish. And I think, as well as Meslier did in the first half, making all of them saves, I think I have noticed one criticism that is, I think, fair to make of him. He doesn't have the strongest hands ever. Whenever you see a shot and he gets his hands to it, if it's got a bit of power on it, you never fully back him to stop it from going in. It's quite often like he concedes goals where you think, he should have done better there considering he got his hand to it, or something along the lines of that. So yeah, I think that can be a bit frustrating, especially for Leeds fans at times. But I think Leeds will be happy with the way they performed once they did, concede the goals. And you are coming up against one of the best teams in world football, so it's not an embarrassing result at all, especially the way they did give it a go in the end, and came close on a couple of occasions once they had got the what turned out to be the consolation goal through Pascal Strag. It was quite poor marking actually from Man City for the corner, because Strag was free on the penalty spot and nodded it home. Ederson got a hand to it but couldn't keep it out. Quite poor defending, and City's defensive positioning wasn't the best at times throughout the game. John Stones on a couple of occasions I thought got caught out a little bit. Rodri, even though he did get his goal, I did think there were a couple of times where he was forced into making a couple of unnecessary fouls. It definitely wasn't a flawless performance from Man City. There were definitely things I think Pep Guardiola, being the perfectionist that he is, will pick at and say that this needs a little bit of work on. But the one player for me who was absolutely outstanding in this game was Kevin De Bruyne, especially in the first half. Some of the runs he was making with the ball, some of the passes he was playing, it was all superb. Gundogan also, I thought, had a good game too in midfield. First half, City just pretty much played as well as they could, just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net was the main problem in the first half. That did happen in the second half, but the first half performance was absolutely brilliant from City. But yeah, as I say, the last 15 minutes of the game, Aronson, Nonto, all did really well, and Gelhardt was really unlucky not to score on a couple of occasions. So yeah, they were unlucky in the end. But the outstanding performer for Leeds, I felt, was actually Greenwood in midfield. He was the one who took the corner for Strack's header, but also I thought he was the one who, for the majority of the game, when Leeds weren't attacking at Man City, he was the one who looked most likely to make something happen. So I think he deserves a bit of credit for the way he's played, not just in this game, but throughout the season as well, because he has forced himself into the Leeds starting 11 when that didn't look likely at the start of the season, with the preferred midfield trio or duo being Mark Rocker and Tyler Adams, and then usually someone else in there as well. But yeah, he's done well recently for Leeds, so yeah, I think he deserves a fair bit of credit too. And yeah, I think any sort of rumour that Leeds should get rid of Jesse Marsch, I think is completely wrong, to be honest. I think he's the best man for them. He definitely embodies a lot of what the club is about, really. The high intensity, the atmosphere in the stadium, the way he, the playing style he uses, it definitely suits what the club is built on. Basically, is what I'm trying to get at here, but not elaborating very well on it. But it was still a good performance against Man City. And Man City, both teams, I think, will look back on this game and think, decent performance, not amazing, but another game. Leeds definitely weren't expecting to get anything out of this game, especially with one of their best performers this season, Tyler Adams, being suspended for what, if I remember correctly, was actually a little bit of an unnecessary red card against Tottenham in the last game before the World Cup. I think it was a second yellow, and it really wasn't needed because they were losing, and it was in the dying minutes of the game, I think. So it definitely wasn't needed, that red card. But yeah, anyway, I'll get on to some player ratings. So we'll start off with Leeds. Meslier in goal, I've given a 6. He made some good saves in the first half. I think some of the goals in the second half you could maybe question him about, especially, the first one before half time and the third one I felt maybe he could have done a little bit better. The defence, I've given Christensen a 5. There were quite a few occasions where I felt he didn't get tight enough to Grealish in the first half. Eventually got substituted. Koch, I've given a 6. I didn't think he was too bad, to be honest. He definitely didn't do too much wrong. Cooper, I've given a 5. There was a couple of mistakes in his game. Strike, 6. Wasn't amazing, but he did get his goal, took it well, so I think you have to give him a little bit of credit for that. And I've given a 7 to Greenwood because I thought he was Leeds' best player on the night. Rocker and Forshaw, I think the game sort of surpassed them at times in midfield, especially with the speed of De Bruyne and Gundogan, like the speed that they play at. It sort of got the better of them at times, I felt, and they couldn't really get on the ball much and keep control of the game, if that makes sense. Rodrigo, I've given a 5 as well, just couldn't get involved in the game at all. Got substituted with about 20 minutes to go. Aronson and Gnonto, I've given a 6. I didn't think they were too bad. I thought that at times they had their moments where they beat a man and tried to get a shot off, but again, not doing enough to really get Leeds back into the game. So yeah, it was pretty much it. Most of Leeds' players, it was an average performance. It was only really when the substitutes did come on where they did really start to improve Leeds. I felt anyway. But we'll go on to City. For City, I've given their goalkeeper Ederson and all of the defenders, bar Akanji, a 6. I just felt they were relatively unchallenged for the majority of the game, and when they were put under a bit of pressure towards the end, they didn't deal with it greatly. I thought on another day Leeds possibly could have got a second to the goal they did get through Strike, especially with chances that Gelhardt had, as well as Greenwood coming close, and also Aronson possibly should have done better with one of the opportunities that he created for himself. So it wasn't amazing from them. I've given Akanji a 7 because I just thought every time he got on the ball, he was looking to be positive with it. So I think that's possibly why I've marked him above the others. De Bruyne I've given a 9, man of the match for me. That first half performance was something else, and second half he played quite well as well. So for me, he definitely deserved man of the match. Rodri I've given a 7 because he got his goal and played well. But I did think at times when Leeds were starting to get on top, there were a couple of occasions where he was caught a little bit out of position and was forced into making a foul. I think he did get a booking for one of the challenges he was forced into making. So yeah, Gundogan I've given an 8. I just thought he was class in midfield. Unlucky not to score a really good goal in the first half, where he caught pretty much everyone out. Caught everyone's off guard when he shot from about 30 yards and it narrowly went wide to the post. So he was quite unlucky in that regard, and played well overall. Mahrez and Grealish I've given 7s. Mahrez I've given a 7 because he did what was wanted of him. He didn't do anything spectacular. Although I think you could argue for the first goal that doesn't really happen without him. But yeah, he was probably one of the quieter forwards that Man City had in this game. Grealish have given a 7 because I think in the second half he was brilliant with the couple of assists for Haaland. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh here, but I think he had to score at least one of those goals in the first half. I've seen people slating Nunez for the way he performed against Aston Villa the other night, and I thought that it was a similar performance from both players because they both made their teams better, but they should have scored, and they did contribute to a couple of their team's goals. So I think a 7's probably fair. Haaland have given an 8. He possibly should have scored a hat-trick, although that's really being harsh when you put it like that. He should have scored a hat-trick. That's really picking at straws, really. So yeah, I think it was a brilliant performance from him in terms of being a out-and-out striker. It wasn't like overly involved, although to be fair, there were a couple of times where he set up chances. He did really well to put Gundogan through on goal in the second half, and did take his goals well. They weren't the hardest chances ever, but he still played well. So I think he definitely deserves an 8. But yeah, it was an enjoyable game. Man City played well. Leeds didn't do too badly either. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.